Welcome back to the 1916 Company. I'm Tim Mosso, and this is Watches Tonight. This evening, we discuss the best watches available below $5,000. That's not up to $5,000, that's way below in many cases. We're also going to chat live, and I'm going to share your wrist shots tonight on Watches Tonight. We've got Nick on the switcher. This evening, we've got Enrique Casiano, Mark S., we've got IT from Hamburg, we've got Edward from Sweden, Arto Charles from New York City, and Soma R joining in from Europe. Welcome to one and all. Matteo, thank you for being with us this evening. And Michael everywhere, who's actually in Manhattan, one specific place. Guys, while we're warming up, do me a favor. Go over to Tim_Mosso on Instagram. Check out my Instagram page where you can see all of these watches in 60-second reviews. Even more intriguing, a lot of these watches are only on my Instagram. You won't see them on our website, and you certainly won't see them on any of our platforms. So go over and check out Tim Mosso on Instagram, follow me, and you can binge watch my 3,000 one-minute videos. Welcome to David. Welcome to THX Keystar, G60, Jim Millett of the UK, Goldfinger, Jeffrey from Gladwine, a local boy, Andrew K, Thomas B. We've got Omar in the box from Malaysia getting up early with us. I appreciate that. And we've got Barry and Simon late to the box. Good to have you guys here, along with Kevin Ye from Boston and Leo from Milan. Welcome, my man. Thank you for staying up late with us. Grandmaster Chime saying March Monday Madness. And we got Jens from Frankfurt, the home of Zinn. So I asked you answered viewer wrist shots number one. This is a extensive viewer wrist shots number one, starting with Eric of Southern Utah, who pegs the meter with his Longuntina Albert chronograph. How cool is that? We've got Adam R. and his AP Royal Oak hitting the slopes at Whistler Blackcomb in British Columbia. So an awful lot of British Columbia in the show tonight for some reason. Watch Ho and Co. These are good guys out of Hong Kong. The Good Vibes Only Watch Club, proving that yes, at the Debatoon retreat in Bali, you can use the DB28GS Grand Bleu in the water, LED lights included. We've got Greg P. wearing his Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore 43 with the inverse panda dial, looking good. Classical wrist shot right there. Kevin F. rolls in his Porsche Macan S with a watch won at Daytona by many past Porsche drivers. Jeff S. reports from Tennessee with his Chapek Antarctique Retropont. And we've got Kudzuman, who adds this shot of a watch meetup to remember. Guys, send your wrist shots to MondayMailbag at thewatchbox.com. See your pieces on these pixels. Exhibit X joining in from New Orleans. Lundigra. We have Barry saying, I need your advice on some company to make a firefighter watch. There is one by Zinn. Check it out. You can literally check it out on my reviews channel. They made a special watch just for firefighters. Although most of the conventions assumed by the timing mechanism relate to European firefighters. So definitely check it out. What else is going on in the box? Thomas. Jeremy joining in from Chesapeake, Virginia. Ducati Rider 851 from Santa Monica. And we got Franz joining in from Norway, staying up late with us. I appreciate that. With John Atchison from Wales, UK. Michael from Orlando. Welcome, guys. Okay. The best watches under $5,000. I sell very expensive watches, guys, and there's not a week that passes that I'm not involved in selling at least a few over $100,000, sometimes several to the same dude all at once. Watches priced at $20,000 and up really are the focus of my business. So when people ask why don't I shoot more reviews of affordable watches, the main reason is usually I have as many minute repeaters as I have authentically $1,000 watches. So what I like to do on this show is open the field a little bit and talk about things I don't routinely encounter at work. And I have to be honest, I don't buy the super expensive watch personally. So when I speak about value, I really am talking from the heart now. I'm recognizing sub $5,000 watches tonight, and I'm only including things that I would actually want to purchase and own. It's not just price point watches that fit the theme. So all of these are watches I think are genuinely cool. Starting with this watch, which you had to know was coming. Now a 2024 GPHG Challenge Prize winner. The roughly $2,800 US Otsuka Lotec No.6 appeals on the basis of clever design and scarcity. It has been offered as Japanese domestic market only, and even within Japan, often by a lottery. So it's not that this is an expensive watch, it's that it's a very cool watch that is also very hard to get. And those two things in combination, think Tudor Chrono Pink, you got the right idea. So these things have hammered at auction for over 60,000 US dollars in the West, and even in Japan, because of the lottery selection, you're going to pay a lot of money to get one of these secondhand. Although, to be fair, a quick search reveals that pre-owned asking prices are considerably lower, though still multiples the retail price. Keep in mind, the watch has been on sale since 2015. It was redesigned for 2024, so to get the latest version, you probably can't just queue it up on Chrono, click buy. Keep in mind, there are two different generations. The latest one appears to be the one that is most sought out, and it is the one that won the Challenge Prize. Now, this is very crazy and hard to defend because you could go out and buy one of the late genius Daniel Nebel's authentically exotic Nord-Zeitmaschine watches for literally half the money. And the Otsuka looks incredibly complicated and exotic. It's mostly Mido powered. Whereas the Nord-Zeitmaschine is genuinely a manufactured product built to a level of attention, detail, and exacting engineering tolerances that you will find only among the likes of maybe Erwerk, Grubel 4C, and MB&F. And yet no one knows about Nord-Zeitmaschine because Nebel never really advertised. But we're talking about the Otsuka tonight, which is an awesome design. Jiro Katayama, like a lot of industrial designers, making the jump to watch production. In the past, Morten Linde of Linde Werdelin, Armand Billard of Sartory-Billard, Benoit Mintiens of Ressence, they all started as industrial designers, doing furniture, high-end audio, car design. Jason Wilbur, another great example of that, the designer of the Devon Tread and later Wilbur watches. So it's not an unheard of thing to go from industrial design into watchmaking. What's fascinating is that Katayama has struck a chord with his designs, specifically the number 6 you see here, but also the multi-dial 7.5, and they're not expensive, and they're not that big either. So a very exciting watch, and one that retails for well under 3,000 US dollars if you can get into the lottery to buy one new. It's 42.6, but because of the wire style lugs, it wears like that lug to lug, almost like a lugless watch. It does have a Miyota 9015, but it's adjusted in-house. Tokyo Precision Watch helps with the assembly of the retrograde models, or module, I should say, for the two displays on the dial. So it's a very dynamic type of time teller when the retrograde activates, and it's got that look of a meter, a gauge, something designed to calculate kilowatts or totalize consumption rather than something that tells time. Otsuka, that's where he's from. Low-tech is actually a play on the English term low technology, so it is literally exactly what it sounds like. And I like that they're comfortable making a Japanese watch that is happy to be Japanese. Instead of having a bunch of English transliterations and Latin characters, we've actually got some kanji on the dial. Frankly, I would love it if the Swiss just put everything on their watches in French instead of the Franglish mix that we normally get. This is really well done. God help you, though, if you need to buy one outside of Japan. Let's jump into the box. We got John Ainsworth joining in, Abdul from Germany. We've got Rich Mitch joining the chat, along with Zach S. And we've got Joe R. asking Tim, is the Breguet Marine 5817 the best dressy dive watch? Best dressy dive watch. I would take a look at something like a Chopard Pro 1 first. And I would also consider one of the JLC master compressors. Not the master compressor extremes, but the master compressors. Dressy dive watches are few and far between, but there's a very good argument to be made that a lot of Seamaster 120s fit that description, especially if you want to talk about dressy dive watches, some of the Seamaster 200s made in the 80s and the earliest versions of the Diver 300 meter from Omega, which had a very dressy bracelet on them that sort of split the difference between a sports watch and a dress watch. So check all of those out. Grandmaster Chime is a big fan of our watch made in Japan. Abdul saying GPHG put this watch on the stratosphere. That's a fact, they really did. It was on our radar before. Those of us who follow the industry, we knew about this, but it was never desired quite the way it is now. We got Reggie joining in, finally watching the show live. Glad to be a concurrent viewer, and I appreciate that, guys. Let's see if we can get to up to 300 concurrent viewers en route to my ultimate goal of 400 people watching this thing all at once. THX asking, wait, Tim sells expensive watches? He reviewed a vintage steel Patek and knew that was rare. Well, it's one case where you're not going to get a discount for steel. What else going on here? Patel Philippe joining in along with Barry saying Seamaster with electric blue dial is a dress diver. You're probably not wrong about that. Keep in mind that there are also mid-size versions of that watch which, worn on a male wrist, could very easily be described as a dress diver. Okay. And then Smoko saying, I might say the CQ39 from Glasuta Original is a dressy diver, particularly if you wear it on leather. That's not a bad idea, and I endorse it. I think you should show us what that looks like. Actually, as dressy divers go, how about something along the lines of a Tudor Black Bay 54 or a Tudor Black Bay 58 925? Now, the nice thing about the Tudor Black Bay 925 is that it's a very reasonable size. At 12.9 millimeters thick and 39 millimeters in diameter, and only sold on straps to date, you could very easily argue that this is a dressy diver. At $4,800, it's a rare precious metal mainstream brand dive watch that comes in underneath $5,000. Heck, even 4 years after it launched, this sterling silver diver remains the most interesting Tudor watch, rivaled only by the P01, and again, still under $5,000. Taupe probably wasn't on anyone's Tudor bingo card for 2021. But how perfect does this look alongside the silver case? I mean, taupe. Is it gray? Is it brown? A little bit of both? I'm not sure, but this definitely broke the glass ceiling for that particular color in its use on watches. Speaking of the silver case, it is a living material because it's sterling, and remember, sterling is 6% copper, so it has the potential to tarnish as much as you would like. Now, you can, as an owner, accelerate or freeze the process with some very simple steps using things you can find in your kitchen, but this was a great example of one I found that had been immensely patinaed. So this is within the scope of possibility, and I love that. That said, if there's one flaw here, it's the display caseback, which is misplaced. We don't need to see this movement. I would much rather have an extra ounce of precious metal than see that MT5400. That said, it's still a very high quality movement. 3-day power reserve, chronometer certified, anti-magnetic, very tough and shock resistant, and most impressively, properly sized for this case. Instead of using one of the MT5600 movements, they actually created a smaller movement for the smaller watch with the same tech specs as the bigger movement. In other words, no compromise. So I like that quite a bit. I've included a link to my collector's guide for this watch in the description below, so please check that to see more of the high quality images you've just seen. That's one of ours. We actually did that in-house. You'll learn a lot more about the watch too and the history behind it. So definitely check that link after the stream. Now, Sartory-Billard. We actually had the watches on set last week, and the fun thing is they fit tonight's theme, so I'm bringing them back. That is an incredible example of the SB04E. E for evolution. It could also mean étanche because they are now 100 meters water resistant with a screw down crown. But what I want to draw attention to here is there's a sapphire disc over a platinum plated brushed chapter ring surrounding a genuine Tanzanian ruby center cut straight from the ruby boulder and finished by a lapidary in Germany for this watch, which is made in France. You can see that is all natural material, which makes it beautiful and also unique. They're only making 150 of them, but no two will have the exact same dial because it is completely random crystalline patterns. Absolutely gorgeous, and a watch that has traditional lume in the most extravagant sense. You can see it's been inlaid onto the sapphire track, but also the hands and the crown, guys. A loomed crown. Hello, Omega. Dial detail is at Grand Seiko levels. The closer I get, the more impressive it became, especially since this was a prototype, and prototypes tend to be pretty rough. This was spotless. Handmade. All the pieces on that dial go through the hands of an artisan, and it has low volume production, which makes it super cool. 39.5 millimeters, but only 44.5 lug to lug, so even she can enjoy this watch. 150 pieces, though keep in mind, given the size of Armand's production, not all of them will be made this year. It's likely to be like Grubel Forsey, where a limited edition will be built out over several model years. And this is $4,940, so it actually makes it just under our $5,000 bar, with a little bit left over for shipping and handling. We have Ruggiero saying the Black Bay 54 has some amazing military heritage. And then we've got Moto Gunner saying that Sartory-Billard is a proper stunner. Miroslav saying the first time I'm seeing this one, and again, stunning. Takon Wong, Tim made it. Live show from Hong Kong, 6:14 a.m. right now. Mr. Wong, always appreciated. Your support is unwavering. We got Mark K. You guys like the Explorer 1016 or the Zenith Daytona 16520 more as a long-term keeper? Unless that is one hell of a 1016, I would say the Zenith Daytona 10 times out of 10. Unless you're looking at a 1019 Mittelgauss, I would say go with the Daytona. S&J saying, is Lina the next Voutilainen? Until he starts working with eye-watering finish or high complications, I'm going to say no. And James Lung joining in. We also have Barry, take your platinum presidential bracelet off your Rolex and put it on a decent diver, and you would definitely have a dress diver. Okay, so put your Rolex president bracelet on a sub. Anyone want to put a white gold president bracelet on a Smurf and see how that looks? Not that I condone modification of Rolex timepieces under any circumstances. What else going on? We got Sachin joining in from San Francisco, and watch out along with Noah. Anyone have an honest opinion on the Christopher Ward Belcanto? Yes, check out my review, but I like it a lot. I think it makes a lot of sense. And all the fun stuff is on the dial, so I don't care that it has a humble base movement. The dials are impressive, and frankly, there's a lot of different versions of this watch now, so shop around and you'll find the one you like best. Longines. Every year, this is one of the engines that propels the Swatch Group and takes all of the noise and the chaos and filters it out with high-volume watches that are also high-value watches that respect their heritage. Longines has one of the best archive departments in the business, and what we have right here is a production version of the 190th anniversary watches from 2022. So the Longines Master Automatic, 38.5 millimeters in stainless steel. We have an engraved dial. It is a mechanized engraving, but it is an incredibly refined process that convincingly looks hand done. And then there's the granular charcoal finish, which is a lovely grained kind of complement to the rose gold of the other features of the dial. The texture and the color palette are superb. We've got an L888 caliber, which is automatic and gives you 3 hours of reserve, so hooray for that. The case lines are elegant and upscale. And so, hang on here, but for $2,500 out the door, it's an impressive package like a Calatrava for maybe 1/16 the money. All right, so that's what you get from Longines, and I have to say, this is a great value. There's also a salmon dial version for the same money that'll knock your socks off. Ball. This one is straight off the presses. Fresh to market. Brand new, 91 pieces in steel. This is the Engineer 300 BLU. So a 2025 launch, $2,549. Once again, 91 pieces. Ball is a Swiss brand with American origins, and unlike so many brands that want you to pretend that you're a fighter pilot or an astronaut or a deep sea diver, this one's a little bit whimsical because it plays to the folklore of America. And many of our initial folk heroes weren't astronauts at all, but engineers and firemen driving trains. This is a locomotive and rail inspired brand due to its Webster Ball heritage. So an awesome dial in both color and texture. Again, that granular finish with a lovely little accent of white and blue that really looks sharp. Check out those blackened hands and numerals and indices. 40 millimeters in steel, which is perfect, and 13.1 millimeters thick, which is absolutely fine when you consider how many features are packed into this watch. So it is anti-shock equipped with their amortizer device, and it has a paramagnetic mu metal shield. So you've got 5,000 G shock resistance, 1,000 Gauss or 80,000 ampere per meter anti-magnetism, and it's 100 meters water resistant. It is also a COSC certified Swiss chronometer, which means you are getting the highest grade of base ETA in here. Plus, you're getting a cool case back. Once again, I would rather have a fine looking case back that celebrates the heritage of the watch or the brand than something that shows me an ugly movement. So a cool solid case back over a humble but technically proficient movement really is perfect for me. Tritium lume, by the way, guys, via tracers. So it has little encapsulated phosphorescent gas with tritium, a beta emitter, encapsulated. So you can't just paint raw tritium onto a dial today, but if it's encapsulated, you can still use it, which means if you put it in a box for a month and then you take it out in the dark, it's self-activating lume, and it's a genuine modern day T-dial. It does not need to be charged up by light. Danny Simnauer saying, I got my Bell Canto 2 weeks ago. Nice dial, but the chime is not that loud and lasts less than a second. This is true, but it's also true of most hour strikers. You could pay a lot more for a Zeitwerk striking that does the same thing with the same volume. And then we have Barry, who says something that is definitely not safe for work, but I find it funny. And then we have John saying, the ball is awesome, looks somehow inspired from Fallout with the big lume plots. If you want a genuinely Fallout-inspired watch, I think it was Laco and Ariel Adams did one a few years back, but I like your idea to make the ball the Fallout watch, because I think the ball 91-piece edition here is cooler than that Laco. What else is going on in the box? We got THX saying shrink the Memovox down to 36 millimeters and it would be perfect. There is a master control Memovox from the 90s that's very, very close to that in size. What else is going on here? We got Mateo saying, such a great quality ball watches. And then Abdul saying, ball is solid, love the tritium lume. Guys, you guys have some great watches too. Let's take a look at them. Matt N. and his Zenith Dayfi Skyline visit Madrid's clock tower onto the Gran Via. Very cool. The famous clock tower in the background and the Dayfi Skyline with the skyline of the city. Well done. Darth Muppet and his Rolex GMT Master 2 attend a charity event in Vancouver, British Columbia. There's that place again. We got Robert R. and his brother Brian compare Speedmasters from Omega and Swatch. Anthony T. of Las Vegas enjoys his new Panerai PAM 572. So Radiomir 1940 with his Pokemon collection. We love collectors. Jonathan B. and his Panerai Luminor Bitompo roll with Porsche out on the roads. Send your wrist shots to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com to see your analog on my digital. Let's see, how many people are watching this right now? 327. If you just keep me streaming, I don't care if you go to get a snack, go to the bathroom, head over to dinner, just keep this streaming so I can get as close as possible to 400. That always makes my week, and it helps the stream do better after the fact. By the way, you don't have to subscribe, but liking does help with the algorithms. Nicholas L. Ball lume doesn't age well, though. That's fact. The beta emitter, tritium, has a half-life of 12.7 years. So I recommend every 12.7 years just getting them to replace the tracers. That is a service that they offer. And we got Unkai Speedy Racing saying, we're gonna pass 400 no problem. Guys, if you make that happen, I'm gonna be thrilled, and so will Nick. Mark S., in film, Vancouver never plays itself. That's true. If you've ever wondered how they can film so cheaply in New York City, London, Chicago, Los Angeles, Tokyo, basically all the major cities of the world, it's always someplace in Canada that doesn't have film unions. What else is going on in the box? We have Jeff S. joining in from Florida and Junior Johnson, who just upvoted us, along with Eric R. Guys, thank you so much for supporting the show. Okay, now, best watches under $5,000 in 2025. The best watches under $5,000 have one quality in common. They generally look and feel more expensive than they are, starting with Grand Seiko, which has sort of refined that idea to the state of the art. So how about we also add some complications to our theme tonight? Because we've had a lot of simple watches. Now let's add a second time zone. So The SBGN 029 Quartz GMT has it all for $3,400. It's 39 millimeters, it's just over 12 thick, it's 200 meters water resistant, fully loomed, you've got twin time zones, including one in a 24-hour format, you have a hand-finished case and hand-assembled dial. Watchmaker assembled and regulated 9F86 movement. The 9Fs since about 1994, 1993 have been probably the most formidable family of quartz mainstream movements available, right up there with the ETA Thermaline series. Built for life, 10 seconds accurate per year, thermocompensated 9 joules, and it's built for not just the life of the owner, but for the life of the watch that might span several owners. When the time comes, it goes back and it gets serviced. This is not a throwaway article. There's also a trimmer feature built in, which allows the watchmaker to compensate for the drift of a quartz crystal as it ages over decades. And once again, thermocompensated, so that 10 seconds a year, that's even in the presence of hot and cold, which does affect quartz as well as mechanical. Important to recognize that a quartz caliber is generally 15 seconds accurate per month. This is 10 per year. Grand Seiko forces a reckoning with quartz prejudice and offers a viable one-watch option that even works for female wrists, since it's only 45.8 millimeters from lug to lug. Particularly if you throw this on a strap, it is a super unisex option. And again, with the case, the dial, and the movement, all receiving hand attention from Grand Seiko personnel. You will not find a Swiss watch of comparable price in mass production with that much manual labor invested. Let's bring it close to home. We've been to Switzerland, we've been to Japan, and now let's check out, well, we also went to France with Sartory-Billard. Let's check out the local boys from RGM here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, only about 2 hours from where I'm recording this right now. RGM, the Model 300, now in its third series, keeps on trucking at Pennsylvania's oldest extant watchmaker. And I think it's fair to call them Pennsylvania's top watchmaker, since they are making tourbillon in-house. But what we've got going on here, it's like a Swiss-American-German fusion answer to the Blancpain 50 Fathoms. So that is where all of the value of this watch comes from. It's got a Swiss movement, a German case, all the assembly and regulations done in the United States. And frankly, it really does look like an alternative to something like a 50 Fathoms reference 5015. I've always liked these and thought about buying one because they're so close and the price is right, but the size always leaves me on the outside looking in. I've only seen one in person, and that was years ago when I first started doing reviews. I remember the RGM being large, but also feeling really well made and damn indestructible. It felt like so much more than a $4,450 watch. It had that feeling of being like a bank vault or the door of an old Mercedes or the hatch on a battleship. This was just an incredible feeling watch. It really did feel like a $10,000, $15,000 product. I should probably give it another look because the factory's only 2 hours from me. That's an easy drive on a weekend. And you know that economic nationalism has always been an undercurrent to this show. Mark S. picks that up more than most. We also have a question. How big? Well, 43.5 millimeters is the case size, but it's really thick. It's 17.5 and 52.5 lug to lug, which is right on the border of what's humanly possible on my wrist size. But yet, you get a captive bezel, Breitling style. Very difficult to knock that bezel off. It's held on by screws, not snapped on. You get a ceramic bezel insert. You get 762 meter diving depth, and that weird number comes from the fact that it's rated in good old American feet at 2,500. You get a movement spec that has improved over the years as Sellita has extended power reserve to 52 to 56 hours in their basic automatics. So that is what you get here. And on the bracelet, 4,450. It's actually under $4,000 if you get it on the strap. But like I always say, get the watch on the bracelet and then buy the strap as an accessory. We got Enrique Cassiano saying, agreed, Marine Master from Fortis is very nice. That's a good suggestion. We got NEJE. Looks comically large, like an Invicta. Pass, sorry. Yes, remember though, Invicta attempts to emulate true luxury watches. The RGM really is one. It's also functionally large because, hey, a big instrument's easy to read. We got Jonah join in. Tim, I need help for my wedding. Longa Saxonia Ultra Thin Copper Blue, White Gold, or 1908 Black Dial Yellow Gold. I would say throw in a Cellini Prince and look at the 4 variants. But between the 2 options right there, I would say the Longa. If you have an open mind, check out Laurent Ferrier. If you want something that's really offbeat, check out Sartory-Billard. You might save a lot of money. Remember, you probably get an Aventurine or a Lapis dial from the SB for under 10 grand. Also check out the S7 from Garrick. A lot of cool options out there. Jim Millett saying, I like this RGM. Definitely call him up. You'll talk to Roland. He'll sell you one. You'll know your watchmaker. It's a great experience. Roland is a love-hate type guy, but I lean more towards the love side. He's a passionate individual. He has very strong opinions, and I wouldn't argue with that. You make the watch, you call your shots. What else going on? Evan joining in from Athens, Greece, staying up late. You know I love that. Guys, 388 concurrent viewers. Just stay with me, please. Just keep it streaming. Mute me. Throw up some other YouTube channel. I don't care who it is. Just let me stream. Let me get to 400. And we have another comment. SB is using tantalum now. That is a fact. V&M saying the Cellini 5505 is my favorite Rolex ever. Abid joining in from Karachi, Pakistan, which I definitely appreciate, saying Tudor Pelagos FXD, a great choice for under $5,000. So we have Athens, Georgia and Athens, Greece in the same chat box tonight. THX, thank you for calling that. We have Avi saying, well, question, is the Omega Seamaster still the best mainstream diver under $5,000? I would say you definitely want to consider finding a Mido Ocean Star COSC, because I think that's an incredible watch for the money and you'll save thousands over the Omega. I would also say in a world where all these Tudors exist, just find the one you like, and that'll easily be under $5,000. Now, jumping back to our regularly scheduled program, Baume et Mercier. This might be, a Riviera diver might be the best mainstream dive watch under 5,000. But now I'm speaking about the basic Riviera, and by that I mean it's not a dive watch. It's also smaller and more elegant. So Riviera 10770 reference, a 2024 release. Yes, please, 39 millimeters and only 10.2 thick. This is an integrated bracelet watch that has history dating back to 1973, when the Riviera was one of the original watches of the type. This is not a Me Too type watch. This is a I was always there type watch. A really great looking piece with a smoked waveform green sapphire, rose gold accents, steel case, details, please, on every front. Except for maybe the unfortunate case back, which I don't think we need. But look at that dial and look at that bezel. Now, $3,900 US, automatic winding, the movement, 120-hour power reserve via caliber 1975. It's a Val Fleurier product, but you know what? At this price, I totally accept that. Or you could get IWC's version with a green dial and a full bracelet for $11,700 and the exact same movement. The choice is yours. Plus, on the Baume, you can also get the 8-year warranty, so the IWC doesn't have an advantage on that front. 100-meter water resistance on the Baume, you better believe it. Sapphire dial in green for an unusual look that gives you a little bit of a glimpse of the movement, but not so much that you're revolted by the fact that it's an industrially finished piece. It's a good-looking watch, and again, it's wearable for him and for her. The case, the bezel, the bracelet, it all looks good, and it feels a lot more expensive than it is. There's even a quick-release system for straps and bracelets built into the back, though you can see why I'm less thrilled about the display case back. We don't need to see that. But the tech specs of the movement, which includes the silicone escapement, very impressive. All right, Dean Robson in the box. What do you think of the Breitling Avenger 42? I like it, but as with most Breitling watches, find the one you like and then try to buy it used. The value proposition is there, and with 5-year warranties, get it 2 years old. You're still covered. What else going on here? Bob Williams, $4,000 on a Baume & Mercier? No way. I feel like that's a pretty good price for a Baume & Mercier. I don't know if I'd pay $20,000 plus for the Riviera Perpetual Calendar, but for what we just saw, I think that's pretty legit. What else going on? Troy Kent. I have a Baume & Mercier Riviera 1020 with the rubber strap. It is quite nice. The date wheel is very cool. We have a comment. Tim is an OG. I appreciate that. He was here before watches became mainstream. I don't know about that, but I do hope that I popularized no-nonsense formats. It's never been about me, whether I'm doing a review or a live stream. Tim's videos will be a great resource for people 20 to 50 years from now. You know, when I first aspired to create in the watch space, I looked at the teardowns that Walt Odets did on the old Orologium on Time Zone, and I thought, man, I hope that I put together something that people will reference 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the line. And at this point, my oldest videos are a decade old and people still look to those as a reference. So I guess mission accomplished. Becoming a watchmaker, once I'm done with this chapter of my watch life, would be the ultimate reward. And then we got the Ghost of Yiddish Gambino, LU Chopard XPS 1860 in the $5,000 range. Get one from Tim. Not a bad idea. And then we've got Abraham Stein saying Oris Aquis is great value for the money. That's true. For under $4,000, 5 days of power reserve, manufacturer movement, COSC-like timing tolerances, and a 10-year warranty. I've just covered the Oris so much that I didn't put it in tonight's show, but definitely consider the Oris Aquis 5-day. It definitely deserves your money, even at retail price. Now, Mido. Below Longines, but above Tissot in the swatch hierarchy, Mido often gets lost in the swatch group mix. Incredible value right here. If you love the idea of the 2023 Louis Vuitton tambour, but you don't want to spend deep into 5 figures to get one, batter up, because we have a competitive fit, feel, and aesthetic from the people at Mido for $1,560 US. The company's architecture-inspired models have always been a highlight for me. This one is inspired by the Roman Colosseum, and it has an all-new dial. This is, of course, the Mido IBA all dial. You could see the tiers, the dished amphitheater-like layout, the rows and the columns, and the amphitheater-like design flattened in miniature. It's almost like the toric bezels of Parmigiani Fleurier that are like a flattened column. This is a flattened Colosseum. It has depth, it has texture, it has tone, it has that lovely contrast between the gray base and the metallized elements. It incorporates a date, it incorporates loom. It's not small at 42.2 millimeters in steel, but it is lugless, which means even a female wrist can wear it, as it's really just about 42.2 lug to lug as well. What appears to be the bracelet is actually a set of pivoted end links. And it's only 10 millimeters thick, which makes it genuinely thin for a long power reserve, water resistant automatic with a day-date complication. Dial details are harmonious and hold up under close inspection. It does not look its price. Dial and bracelet here are major highlights. It looks really well thought out, cohesive. The links are countersunk into each other for tight assembly tolerances, and in no way contrived to incorporate the architectural themes. You see why I say this really might be the thinking man's alternative at 1/10 the price or less to the Louis Vuitton tambour full bracelet. And here you can really see that the lugs are actually part of the bracelet, not the case, which is why this wears lugless and super compact. Mechanically, it's surprisingly distinguished for a sub $1,600 watch. Day, date, COSC chronometer, 80-hour power reserve, anti-magnetic hairspring, 100-meter water resistance, double quickset, hacking, and surprisingly, a 5-year warranty too. That's what you get on an Omega. This thing is the goods. A great watch that doesn't feel like you're wearing a contrived architectural mishmash on your wrist. It just looks good. The Colosseum element, well, thank goodness there's an entry-level brand that refuses to insult its customers with a gross movement under a sapphire display caseback. This one gives you a solid caseback with satin finish and media blast. You can see the Colosseum right there. Frankly, I'd rather have that than a view of an industrially finished ETA movement. Mido, as usual, well done. Viewer wrist shots number 3. Nathaniel K. of Florida wears a Rolex Sky Dweller Ever Rose, full red gold in bracelet spec. There he is right there. Mr. Wong, he's in your box on the chat now. He's on your screen. Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch Snoopy 3, paying homage to Fuji. That's a gorgeous shot. Even the sky is the color of the watch. Abdullah of Germany, another one of our chatters in the box and a longtime supporter, catches fresh fallen snow with his Casio AE1200 World Timers, modded in steel and bronze. Joseph P. of Florida, longtime supporter of the channel and a 2-time featured collector, contributes his vintage Sheffield diver from 1974. Looks good for its age. And we've got Matt B. and his studio Underdog Lemonade attending his daughter's 3-month ultrasound in Melbourne. All the best to you and yours, Matt. Send your wrist shots to mondaymailbag at the1916company.com to see your passion in this fashion. BNS saying, yeah, it really does look like the Tambor, and you're not wrong. We have Genius Clicks saying Omega Railmaster, get one used for under $5,000. That definitely fits the scheme, but I wanted to offer people watches they could still buy new. Some people only buy new watches. I just wanted to make that a possibility. And then what else is going on? We have Alex Rosa saying, hi Tim, spinning my Mad 1S as I watch. I think that's a watch that sells for well under $5,000 new, but over $5,000 used. $5,000 is still a lot of money. Let's not kid ourselves. That's a show quality purebred dog, a pretty fine used motorcycle, or a down payment on a substantial car. And it still buys a legitimate watch. Here's possibly the most requested review I had over the last couple of years. I've heard more about the Accutron SpaceView 2020 than almost anything else out on the market. One of the most requested and commented watches. Once I posted the review, you guys had thoughts. And so, inspired by the Bulova Accutron tuning fork watches of the 1960s and 70s, today, Bulova and Accutron are separate brands. So Accutron is not a model of Bulova, and both of them, Bulova and Accutron, are separate brands under Japan's Citizen Watch Group, which ensures money for service and parts forever. It is easy to get confused because there is a tuning fork logo omnipresent on the watch. Just take my word for it, this is not a tuning fork watch. It is a quartz watch this time, but unlike any other quartz watch I've seen. It's plus or minus 5 seconds a month, which is 3 times better than most quartz, but the dial aesthetic is that of a tuning fork watch or very high frequency automatic. It doesn't tick. The seconds hand sweeps smoothly. It has electrostatic generators, turbines that whiz at incredible speed to create static electricity buildup that then drives an electrostatic motor which culls the static electricity from a capacitor. So this is a unique direct current type of watch, and it's unlike anything else out there. You can also see the motor and you can see the generators wheeling wildly, so it's a very entertaining watch to look at. That's the motor assembly right there. Stepper motors drive the hour and minute hands, and the electrostatic motor turns the smooth seconds hand. All of this is assembled and regulated in clean room conditions worthy of microchip manufacture, and it's powered by a Miyota NS030 that is designed and built in Japan. Generators, which you can see right here, and the electrostatic motor are visible in constant action, which makes this an incredibly dynamic dial. It is fairly large at 43.5 millimeters by 16 millimeters thick and 49.5 lug to lug, but it has what's known as a glass box sapphire, which 4 years ago was prescient. Today they're very popular, but having a bubble that looks like a vintage plexiglass on this watch adds to the thickness. The case is not as thick as the watch makes it seem. It wore well, if prominently, on my wrist, and I actually thought of buying one as it passed through, but it sold almost immediately. It's automatic, but not conventionally. The motion to wind involves swinging the wrist, not shaking it. So it's not a conventional rotor, and they describe the winding system very oddly in the manual. They say 6,000 steps will add 1 day of power reserve. That's assuming you don't put your hand in your pocket, and you cannot wind it conventionally using the crown. So you must shake to wind by moving your arm as though you're chopping wood. Now, here's the interesting thing about the power reserve. It's 2 years in power saving mode. It will go into power saving mode after 10 days, but it has a primary power saving mode that it will enter after 5 minutes when it will stop the seconds hand. If you pick it up before 10 days, but after 5 minutes, the seconds hand will jump back to whatever position it's supposed to be in, because the microprocessor in the watch remembers the hours, the minutes, and where the seconds are supposed to be. And it can retain correct time for 10 days from the motion stop. The dial style is very much that of the original Accutron SpaceView, which was originally built as an exhibition model to show people how the tuning fork system worked. Of course, people loved them so much they started making offers on the display models. American ingenuity, Bulova understood there was a market to be addressed. It created the Space View as a watch that could be purchased. And so this one with the open dial showing the mechanism is a tribute to the old Accutron Space Views. These Accutrons cost $3,850, but all of that unconventional engineering comes with a 5-year warranty. And yes, despite being relatively affordable electronics, it is a serviceable watch, not disposable consumer electronics. So this can be with you as long as you care for it to be, and I think it's one of the neatest watches you can buy today. Viewer wrist shots number 4. Matt F. and his Mad 1 Castelbajac attend Rugby Sevens in Vancouver, British Columbia. It's British Columbia again. It's a very popular place, the wristwatch capital of the world. Nathan S. looks forward to summer with his Omega Seamaster Diver 300-meter Summer Blue Edition. Sahin D. captures a classic wrist angle with his Grand Seiko Sea of Clouds SB GP 17. And we've got Bill, who flies private en route to the Super Bowl. Lucky you, with his Breitling Navitimer Ice Blue. We have Nathaniel O. of Israel, who, along with Parrot, takes us home with his Omega Seamaster Aquaterra annual calendar. Guys, send your wrist shots to Monday Mailbag at the1916company.com to see your wrist on my list. Thanks to you, thanks to Nick, and by the way, we hit 432 concurrent. You made my week. Until next time, time out.